Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Fruits Basket since I have now finished watching it. And I've started watching this show about probably a month ago, and goddamn, this show is such an emotional roller coaster. It is insane, but I think in a good way. It balances heartbreak with comedy very, very well. And I feel like that is a very, very strong suit of this show. But not only that, I feel like every character is fleshed out, and I think that's the problem with a lot of other romance animes I've seen. They just don't really flesh out any side character like at all, besides maybe giving one episode to them, but rather than that, not really fleshing them out much besides that. But I think this show really fleshes out every character enough for you to actually understand where they're coming from emotionally. And again, I don't really see that in a lot of other romance animes I've seen. But not only that, it balances romance with drama extremely well, and just this overarching like loom of this bond between all the Zodiac members very, very well. But again, it also fleshes out every Zodiac member and balances this out very, very well. This show is just a phenomenal balancing act between romance, drama, and character development. It is very well executed and very, very well done, to the point where I could easily say this is my favorite romance anime I have seen. Just ever. Point blank, period. I will say that Your Lie in April is a close second, but this is still my favorite romance anime so far that I've watched. And one other thing I really, really love is how well it displays people's emotions after something traumatic happens. For example, Toru probably being the biggest example of this. Basically, a lot of people, including me for like a period of my life, did try to hide behind a sort of like wall and try to put up a front in person to make myself seem happier than I actually was. When in reality, I was fucking heartbroken because not only did like Toru's mother die in the actual show, but my mother unfortunately passed away a few years back. And again, I really resonate with Toru because while I didn't do the exact same thing Toru did, like being happy all the time and trying to do that, I did try to be more happy and interact with my friends a little more than I was maybe normally willing to, because I was trying to basically speed run my guilt and my trauma that I felt, when I think it is okay to dwell on it. But the show really teaches that it is okay to dwell on it, but you shouldn't only dwell on it. You should move on and find someone that you love or you like and interact with them. But it's also okay to sometimes think about them and what they did for you and how they've impacted your life. And I think that is incredibly powerful, because I feel like a lot of people, when something traumatic happens to them, or they lose someone very close to them, and this kind of happened, as I said, to me a little bit after my mother passed away. They only dwell on this trauma that they've experienced, and don't move away from it. And I think that is how you fall into a depression. You fall into a fucking a never-ending rabbit hole of just sadness and darkness and just depression, and never get out of it, because you constantly think of what you could have done, in the past, when it is okay to move on to the future and interact with people and love other people. And I think that is incredibly well explained and well executed in this show, and goddamn, it is done in such a beautiful way. But not only that, the romance is so tightly executed and so nicely developed for this entire show. And sorry, I'm getting kind of choked up, but I know some people don't like in romance animes when, the actual romance part of it gets like slowly built up. But here it makes sense, because everybody is dealing with their own emotional struggles, but especially Kyo, because he is the one that was outcast for his entire life for something that he was actually right about in the first place, because it was actually taught, spoiler alert, I mean, I've already kind of spoiled the show, but at the end, basically the cat was right all along in saying that this bond doesn't need to happen. Like, why did you do this? You didn't need to do this. when he was right. But all the Zodiac animals just hated him for telling the truth, and just outcast him because they thought that they were right. And I feel like that is incredibly important because it also teaches that even if you are an outcast, you can still find somebody that will like you for who you are. And I feel like that is also incredibly powerful, and you can still live a happy life even if you are an outcast. You can still interact with people. You can still find people that share common interest with you. And I think that is probably one of the most important takeaways from this entire show. But not only that, but also finding comfort in the people that do love you already, and finding comfort in like your parents that love you and stuff like that, and interacting with them and being happy with them is also incredibly like well explained and well just well dived into basically in this show, and basically very, very well executed, as I said. I know I keep repeating the same stuff over and over, but it's because this show is basically flawless in terms of execution. I don't have really any complaints. I would say maybe a minor nitpick I did have when I was like first watching the episodes, and what my thoughts were when I actually finished the episodes one by one, was that maybe the final season rushed things a little too much. But after reflecting on it, no, I don't feel like that at all, because this entire show was building up to this breaking point in the final season where, again, spoiler alert, all these bonds of the Zodiac members break. And this all makes sense because Kurano, at the beginning, the rooster that was, once a rooster, had their bond broken first, but they didn't even realize what it was. And it isn't thoroughly explained, but I feel like what actually breaks the bond is becoming independent and moving on from your past, and moving on from this like stupid bond that shouldn't even, that was just kind of born out of selfishness and wanting to be loved, because the god needed friends. He needed actual people. He didn't want to be an outcast. And this entire story revolves around not wanting to be alone, not wanting to be like an outcast, and doing everything in your power to be included, to have people that love you. And I think that is incredibly powerful. As I said, like, it is just so well executed, because it shows basically that even if you are an outcast, you don't have to form this like really powerful bond with this person like unnaturally. This should just come naturally as you meet this person, as you grow as a person. Just over time, this bond will grow because of your actual growth as a person, and you will eventually just love them if you are willing to go there. It is so well explained and so well fucking made. It is insane. But also, the animation is so beautiful. Every character looks stellar, and all the voice acting is so great. Every character and their personalities are so well done and really well defined from one another, so it feels like even if the characters look like one another, they don't feel like one another. They don't like seem like the same person. And that's another strength I really like about this show, because again, in a lot of other romance animes, a lot of the characters can kind of just blend into one another, even if they do have maybe one or two different personality traits. But I feel like here, they have different enough personality traits, and they have different enough backstory that they actually go through and explain to the point where you can actually differentiate these characters and resonate with each one of them, with each of them as actual individuals, instead of just kind of clumping them all together into one category. And I just fucking love this show, man. I love how every character develops and grows as a person over this entire show, because it is incredibly realistic. It shows how people actually grow in the real life, and it's so beautiful, dude. Like, I don't have any other words to describe how great this show is. I know I keep repeating the same stuff, but it's because this show is just phenomenal. I don't have any other way of explaining it. It is just so good. But yeah, that is basically it, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.